Yeah, so first half of the race was just a pretty fast, not very technical hare scramble. And then finally when we got to the hard sections, it was a lot of fun. Not a whole lot of rocks, more just like fallen trees and timber and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Haven't really been into a hard enduro like that where most of the obstacles are just big trees, big fallen trees. So that was cool. That was interesting. I really enjoyed that. And then we had a pretty good creek there at the end, following with a really steep, long uphill. So, yeah.
The overall Enduro Fest experience, like, what do you think between the two races?
Yeah, it's really cool. It has a ton of potential for sure. I know, this is their first year, and I think everything was kind of last minute for them. It was definitely more casual, but I think that this whole event has a ton of potential for sure. I mean, it was great this year, but I'm sure with the information that they've collected from doing it this year, next year it's going to be even bigger and better, and it's going to be great.
What was your biggest challenge at the LoggerXross yesterday?
The LoggerXross. I think definitely arm pump. Endurocross is something that only happens once a year for, I think like 3 months out of the year. So we're not training for Endurocross year round. We're just kind of getting back into it right now. So my body wasn't really trained for a fast sprint. It was trained more for, long endurance races. So showing up to that showing up to that Endurocross race, and it only being, a 6-lap sprint was definitely a little difficult. My heart rate got freaking pegged super quickly, and I got super bad arm pump pretty quickly. But I know that as we start training Endurocross here in the next couple of months, should be getting used to, those long, fast sprints. Probably like, there's a bunch of little sticks in the course, and they would come up and like come through my spokes, or go into my brake rotor and lock up my rear wheel, or I don't know, come up and hit me in the face. So just like basically just little sticks in the course. Honestly.
Do you have any sort of like feedback as far as like if this were to continue as a yearly thing, like what would you like to see next year?
Definitely more hard stuff. I would say that just start the race off with hard stuff and just make it one long hard enduro rather than making 80% of it kind of a hare scramble type race. That's my only thing that I would have to say. And I guess maybe figure the format out. Maybe like a couple days before the race rather than 15 minutes before the race. But like you said, that was kind of organization, so it's kind of a tough one.
2 days of racing. First off, take me through your LoggerXross. How did the last night go?
Yeah, the first main for me went a little rough. Got like a probably 10th place start. Couldn't really get through the traffic. Made a lot of mistakes. And I knew I had the speed to be up there. But yeah, it was just got to get back out there and work on starts and work on putting in good motos. Yeah, honestly, this is probably one of like the highest energy enduro crosses we go to, because the fans are all so cool. It's kind of cool. We meet them in the city almost. Like they'll see us driving around our vans and they'll ask us if we're racing or whatever on the weekend. And it's kind of cool. And then like even at the restaurants, we're meeting people at the restaurants and they're asking us about the race and stuff. And then we see them that night. So it's kind of like you meet people in the city before you race, and then they kind of like pick and choose who they cheer for. And then after, it's pretty cool because everybody comes through the pits to leave. So lots of handshakes and photos and meeting lots of people. And so it's definitely probably the coolest venue to have a race. Day 2 is pretty good. Had a bad start again. I was probably like 13th or 14th in the dust. It was super dusty for the first little bit. And then we kind of stretched out and I kind of started picking guys off. Made my way up to, I think, 5th place. And in the first loop, came through the check in 5th, and then went out on the second loop. I ran out of water pretty early, and I was starting to get pretty tired, and I could feel it on the first loop. And as soon as I started getting into the hard stuff on the second loop, it was kind of like I kind of just went downhill. I went off the trail once and I had to pull my bike on, and I was just so tired and I was full red line. So I actually took like probably a 10-minute break, and then got back out there, filled up my water pack, and tried to finish off. I'm definitely kind of bummed. I wish I would have been able to finish it off in 5th or even higher up, but yeah, I mean, guess I'm being from Canada, I got to do some more heat training, I guess.
Last night, Mario, take me through what happened.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody's kind of giving me a hard time, but I mean, I was in, I think, 5th at the time with the battling with 4th place right in front of me. So, I mean, I didn't really see those guys coming. I didn't even know they're behind me. I'm on a 4-stroke. He's on a 2-stroke. It's a little harder to hear. And I tapped into the matrix behind someone. They kind of stuffed the front, and then I stuffed the front, and then I stepped over into, like, I didn't fall over, but I stepped over to the side off my bike, and Mario drove into the back of me. I mean, I definitely kind of caused the crash, but I don't really think that it was like fair for me to pull over because they were already a little ways behind me and I didn't even know they were there. But I mean, yeah, I don't want to ruin anyone's race and I feel bad about it, but I mean, it's just racing. It happens. I mean, the matrix is pretty wide and he was like a bike length to the left of me. He could have been 2 bike lengths to the left and you would have been safe.
Just challenge from yesterday?
Probably just trying to recover to get ready for today, honestly. And switching from the 4-stroke to the 2-stroke was kind of weird. At first, it felt a little weird riding the 2-stroke out here. I wasn't really like used to it. It took me probably like 20 or 30 minutes to get used to it out on the trails.
Overall, this was under the umbrella of Endurofest-Idaho. There's talks about there maybe being more of these in the future. Initial thoughts, what do you think could be improved in the future? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to get maybe like a day in between or something, like go Friday, Sunday, and then you got like a recovery day in between. And then they could make like the Endurocross, like maybe a 3-main event kind of thing, so we ride more. And then people get to see us ride more. And then with that day in between, it allows the course to be harder than, you can make the course a lot harder because we'll all be recovered. So I think it'd be cool to see like a Friday and then a day off and then Sunday hard enduro. It'd be cool to see that.
Well, it's my first time here in Orofino. Everything looks very gnarly and difficult, super technical, the kind of stuff that I like most. I'm not super fan of Endurocross because you have to train many hours to be and have the performance and fitness and the speed to hit so fast the obstacles. But instead, this kind of track is super technical, more like hard enduro or trial. So I'm so fan of this track. I've been walking this morning so far and everything looks awesome. So hopefully I can have a good race and make it the best as I can.
Colton, last night after the race, kind of was jokingly grabbed the mic and kind of made a comment that you, like maybe racing the U.S. more full time might be in the future for you. Will we ever see Mario racing in the States more frequently?
I would like to. This season 2021 is the first time we will have FIM World Championship of Hard Enduro. So this is the main goal, to be world champion in Europe. Also coming TKO, it will be part of the series, which is pretty amazing. And yeah, besides of that, I would like to race in America, but at the moment I don't have enough sponsors to be here. Serco US, Hard Enduro riders, and a couple of people help me to be here. Also Serco Factory in France. But yeah, if I want to come over, I need more sponsors, and we will see in the future. It will be really awesome if I can be here the full time and train and race against these riders. I think the championship is getting more and more interesting, more riders, more races, and yeah, everything is growing so fast. So I think in the future, it's gonna be one good country to live and to make my sport.
What do you think? How was your weekend? How did it turn out for you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yesterday I was not expecting to make so good. Like I had good 2 starts. Also the hot lap was good. And like I said before, it was technical course, so I was able to feel fast and, like I said, don't make many mistakes. And yeah, for sure the top three were having a good pace, and at the end of the day, they passed me in the first moto. I finished fourth. Second moto, another hole shot. I did my best leading the whole race almost, but in the last 1.5 lap, I get stuck with one lapper, and I lost the position. Cody and Colton passed me, but yeah, finishing the podium with these guys is so amazing. I'm so happy. Thanks for everybody to invite me. And yeah, today we raced in the booth. It was very tight, long race, quite dusty. I was struggling in the morning because 2 hours in the tight trees wasn't easy. But then in the second loop, where we make 2 laps in the hard enduro course, I have so much fun. And I think I cut like 7 minutes to Cody. I was only 1 minute behind. So pretty happy with the speed, with the bike performance, and with everything. So now it's time to come back Europe, and hopefully I can come back in Orofino next year again. Thank you.
Thank you.
LoggerXross was an experience for sure. Never done anything like that before. Most of my stuff's all off-road, long, endurance stuff, things like that. So after Silver Mountain, we ended up bumming around doing some riding, and I knew Matt was putting this on and doing some stuff. So I said, Matt, what's this all about? He said, dude, just get out here and have some fun. So came down, gave it a whirl. It definitely was a strong lineup. Like, to jump into my first one doing anything like that with that lineup, it was like, all right, no pressure here. I'm not expected to do anything. This would be nice. So it was a good experience. So had lots of fun. There was more flow there than I thought there was. It wasn't like a normal enduro cross where they're sending it over big doubles and triples and stuff. So I was glad for that. I thought, yeah, this will work for me.
Cool. But like, what was your first initial reaction to that course?
To the LoggerXross course, I was really stoked to see it, because as I go walk through it and look at it, I'm like, yeah, this is all doable. Like, I can get through this. This isn't, going to be that big of a deal. Like I said, to get in there and attack it with that kind of, tenacity that those guys go after, like that's definitely new for me to just charge that hard. I mean, most of the time I'm conserving energy, and you've got 10, 12 hours of like Romaniac days to get through. So I was like, all right, we're gonna have to push a little bit and quit just pussyfooting around. Like, this is only 10 minutes, just hammer down. So yeah, I thought it went well for that. And I think in the first race I got up a few spots and was moving up a bit, and I think in the main then I got tangled in the snow fence and lost 2 laps, and Destry came over to help me get out. So it's all a learning experience, and just to hang the weekend with all the good people in the off-road stuff, and to have all those people here at this event, it was just such a neat deal.
2 days of racing. Second day is the Maniac Extreme Enduro.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man?
I thought it was good. We've done the Johnson Mill XC here before once a few years ago, so I knew the woods would be tight. I knew they'd be flowy. And the handlebars get tight, you bang up your knuckles, you're bouncing off of trees. So I knew what to expect there. I wasn't sure what Josh would put together for the harder loop, the 6 miles, but I was excited about it. Josh has a good eye for stuff like that. And he did a good job. Like, he put in all the challenging stuff. Like, he'd come in and it wasn't just big send it, try to get yourself hurt kind of stuff. He'd run us over a hillside and put the couple logs going down the hill, and it takes technical, good skill to get through that stuff. And put some good hill climbs in, and I don't know how hot it was on those faces of those hills, but it was smoking hot.
What was the biggest challenge out there for you?
Probably just bike stuff. I think in the first 10, 15 minutes of the first loop, I bent my shifter way up, and so it was very minimal shifting. I think I rode 3rd gear most of it, and then came back and started that second loop, and it actually broke off at that point. And I think that, yeah, you got there and got some footage of that. But so I put it in 3rd, then kept it in 3rd, and just went to rock, and we got some of those big hills. It was too much. Like, it needed to squeal on it. So I took a minute and found a stick and a rock and put it in there and hammered it back into 2nd gear, and hoped we didn't have too much single track after we got out of that stuff. So, but that was probably the biggest challenge. And like I said, just keeping it together when you're out there and not making mistakes is about what you got to do.
Right on, man. So, like, I don't know if you ever heard with Spence, but like, this is looking to be an ongoing thing, like a yearly thing, maybe multiple rounds. Like, what would you like to see different if it comes back to Idaho?
Everybody's always got different ideas of, how it should go or what we should do, and, different stuff like that. So, but I think that's part of the cool part of every event, that the promoters that put it on, they put their own style into it. They put their own, flair into it, and that's what makes all these events fun. I think if we went to all the same ones all the time and they were all, you know, standardized and cookie cutter, it wouldn't be that great. So I think the creativity that, you know, Matt brings to this, and then you've got Jim and those guys doing it, like, let them use their imaginations and just put us where they want to. If they want to torture us a couple days in a row, then let them do it. If they want to, you know, give us a day off in between and stretch it out and, you know, do some events in the town and stuff like that. So I think whatever we do in the off-road world, and, you know, Endurocross has it already, but in the off-road world, there's just no spectators. And it's a really hard thing to spectate. So having like the LoggerXross and then doing like a pro log or something in town, you know, something fun like that to get people involved, so they're there to watch and see it, and seeing all the kids go to like the big pros, and, you know, they're asking for autographs and doing stuff, and I think that part's cool.
Spenser was talking about it. He saw today.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd like to see a day between the two races. Like, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I think the couple days in a row, it just changes your strategy a little bit. You know, some of those guys last night, that was their thing, so they pushed hard and they wanted to go for that and didn't save much for today. But if you just want to go do the weekend and have a good performance all around, you kind of got to pace it, and you got to work your way through the whole weekend. So there's some stuff out there that, you know, you do 4 or 5 days of racing in a row, and they're 10, 12-hour days. So this, you know, we sat around most of the day yesterday, had a couple practices, had a couple runs. I think we only rode for maybe an hour total yesterday, and then we got 3 hours of riding in today. So overall, it's not a ton of riding, but it definitely wears on you a bit. But I feel good.
So yeah, it was a great weekend for me. Last night we had LoggerXross. I won all the motos there, took the win, really happy about that. I feel like I need a little bit of redemption after Silver Mountain. Felt like I left some on the table and those guys got away from me. And then today at the Maniac Extreme Enduro, felt kind of fortunate to get the win today, to be honest. I was kind of a little bit worn out and sore from yesterday, and clobbered my bad foot on a tree out there and kind of just kept riding around. But I had a really good start and checked out early and put a gap, and I don't know, I rode around and got the win. Sometimes that happens. So, you know, all in all, winning the whole weekend, couldn't ask for a better weekend and trip here in Idaho. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely ridden a lot of the national hare scrambles back in the day, the Western ones at least, and that was for sure way tighter than any hare scramble I've ever ridden. Maybe it's a Idaho hare scramble, but it was pretty tight through the trees, really enjoyable, flowy trails, but, you know, kind of being mixed in with the hard enduro thing, I felt like it was a little bit too much of that stuff for us. And I was like, is this thing still going? And it was over 2 hours. I think it took about 2 hours to do 28 miles. So, I mean, 14-mile-an-hour average, and I felt like I was clicking along pretty good. Had a big tumble. It was tough out there. It was deceiving. A lot of logs, different angles, and I caught one, went down pretty hard, smacked my like thigh pretty good. So then I had like kind of like a weird sore thigh the rest of the race. And then we went out for the extreme loop, 2 laps on a shorter extreme loop. And right off the bat, I was like, okay, be patient. I got a nice lead, and same thing, a stick you don't really tell. All of a sudden you're just on the ground, and nailed my manhood and took a breather for a second to get going again. So, I mean, you know, I want to say it was, you know, relatively easy, you know, compared to last weekend at Silver Mountain. But I mean, I was on the ground here more, and you got to be on your toes. And, you know, we're riding through a lot of virgin terrain, and it's, you know, it's a little rugged out there because the speeds are a little bit higher. But I mean, I had a lot of fun today, and luckily I had a lot of clear trail, wasn't too dusty for me, and kept plugging away.
Like, just overall, like, what'd you think of that last main event?
Yeah, the last main event was just awesome. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better show for the spectators. It was next level. And I went down on the start. I watched the video from a couple angles, and there's one where you could see I somehow sucked my rear tire into Haker's wheel, kind of slid out, and it just instantly took me out, took him out, took a bunch of other people out. So I was about dead last, got going again, stalled it, and then got going, and then got stuck in the wood pit, and there was one person behind me when I looked back, because I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So, you know, sometimes it's almost better if you put yourself in a bad scenario right off the bat, because you just ride angry and determined. So, you know, I really wanted to get the win, mostly because last time I won there in 2017, I won the chainsaw, and then I gave it to my dad when I moved, and I was like, I really want another chainsaw. So, man, I don't know, I put my head down, and, you know, I was just feeling the flow on that track all night. It was Endurocross of old, you know, there was no guarantee you make it every lap. It wasn't us charging and just trying to scrub. I don't scrub, man, like I don't come from that. I'm a trials rider, and The track last night was really tech. The matrix was, you never know if you're gonna make it. One lap, the top 3 guys near the end of the race were all stuck in the matrix. So, I mean, it made for great racing, and, you know, sometimes you just gotta put your head down and, you know, really keep pushing forward, and worked out, and I was really happy to basically be dead last, take the win, but win both motos and get myself another chainsaw.
Last question. There's talks about making Endurofest, kind of doing this like Idaho one again, but also adding more feedback going into the future. Like, what do you think? Improvements, or what you like, what you dislike?
I definitely think the buildup of intensity was good. I just felt like 2 hours of that little bit easier stuff. It got to a point where I was like almost kind of bored. I mean, like, man, this just keeps going and going. So, you know, it was really fun trail, but for a race, you know, thinking you're coming to a hard enduro, just should have been running different tires and that kind of stuff, because we didn't really need the gummies. And then we got on the other stuff, and there was a lot of really fun stuff out there. And, you know, I think Josh has been putting in a lot of work getting this dialed, but I mean, he was just trucking through virgin terrain, and all these other races, a lot of existing trails. So, you know, I still think it could have been tougher, but it was still really good. Just more of the stuff on the second part of the loop, or a 6-mile course, I think would have been better for, in my opinion, for myself, and I'm sure Mario as well.